Hey guys, we're back for week 2, eviction number 2 of Big Brother. I think it was a good week, actually. A lot of stuff happened, really. There was a lot
There
of
was
talk.
some good game progression.
Yeah.
It seems like we're further in than 2 weeks, though. I think there was so much nuttiness going on week 1.
I think it's because Frenchie has played an entire season in just like 2 weeks.
He has. Yep. I think that's what it is. We've watched the beginning, middle, and end already happen.
Like he's been there, all the things that he did, like to do that. Wow, dude, you did everything was on your Big Brother bucket list to do. Like a showman. He did not have a showman.
I was actually trying to think of a Big Brother episode that was as predictable as this one was tonight, like in the history of Big Brother, because it was like never a doubt.
Right.
No, there was never a waiver.
Derek threw out the mercy vote. It wasn't even a rogue vote. It was just a little mercy vote, so he could feel better about himself.
Had to throw his, he had to be the like, well, I'm not going to vote you out because you're my best friend in the house vote,
Which, whatever, I guess is there anybody going to blame you? You hope not, I guess.
No, not at all.
Predictable by the edit, though. There's lots of stuff that goes on in the feeds, and I did spend some time on Twitter this week, which is unlike me, but Sunday.
It's kind of fun there sometimes. Sometimes.
And there was a lot going on. I'm surprised some of the stuff that we didn't see that happened, that just we missed it. I mean, I thought we were going to see how he blows up everybody's game. And they didn't really.
I mean, the reality is, I think at this point, like, nobody has a game to blow up anymore because he's just been blowing up everything. Like he would literally like, I'm going to form this, and then turn around to the next person and be like, psst, I formed this. So,
right. Well, they didn't even start Sunday show. We thought maybe they might show sort of when Travis exited last week and supposedly blew up the show. We didn't get to see that. This time, mostly people are getting, they didn't show it again. So I think do you think that's a good idea for CBS?
I mean, they kind of have to, on one hand, I think that they've got to give the CBS fans, not like the full Win fans, I think they have to give the primetime fans a good storyline that's easy to follow, that settles right with your dinner, and that's the guy that looks and talks and acts like most of America. Realizing he blew up his own game, but like going out peacefully into the night. I mean,
sure.
They don't. I think they really like him. I think he's a decent-hearted human being, and he's he just outdid himself.
I think he knew too much. He was trying to like distill all this Big Brother knowledge into 1 week. And I'm going to use every trick I've ever seen and everything I've ever done. And I'm going to make 92 alliances. And
you know what it is? Okay. Christy's going to know. I don't know if you're going to be on board with this comparison, but Christy, I know you will be. Uh-oh. This is like when you sit down with somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I watched the Harry Potter movies. They're pretty fun. And you're like, no, wait a minute. And you start pulling out all the charts and you just get so pumped if you're like a really big Harry Potter fan, because there's just like so much like backstory and book knowledge and character knowledge that you miss out on. And you just throw all this ridiculous information at somebody who's like, well, I didn't want any of this.
No, they literally look at you and go, oh, I only watched the movie.
And I'm so not on board with that, by the way. Just not on board. Now, if it was Lord of the Rings, oh my God, I'm citing the original material, There
you go. It's another great example. The Big Brother folklore is being left out to all these newbies, and he was so excited to be the one who opened the doors to this magical, mystical world that is so much deeper than besides our weekly edits that we get on CBS.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was just too much. It was too much.
Yeah, I think there was not enough TV time. Once they went a little bit this way, then they had to include this. And then, oh gosh, how do they lay it all out, maybe?
Right. And Another thing that I'm not seeing a lot, I'm interested in seeing is when are they going to start actually showing us the gameplay that we're getting from like these alliances that are forming? I mean, because like Tiffany, Claire, you've got like the Cookout crew, the Kings.
Well, you wouldn't even know the Cookout is still existing.
You wouldn't know that they existed,
right, based on the edit.
And it's so funny because it's like there's been a lot of conversation. There's a lot of conversation, and thus far, it seems like there's going to be a lot of loyalty to that crew. And you've got Alyssa and Christian are the closest thing that exists in the house as, you know, a showmance, and there is kind of one forming, like it's kind of a thing that's happening. But they're really close, and no one else in the house seems to realize just how close they are. So there's definitely things going on. So it'll be interesting to see this week if they're able to incorporate any of that now that we don't have this like crazy Frenchie storyline. So
I'm just hoping Xavier and Azah get together, because they would have beautiful children.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, these two like super hot individuals got together.
They're so beautiful. Like
both of them so tall and stunning.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what's funny is Claire is every bit as tall as Xavier. When she was standing next to, I didn't realize she was 6 feet tall.
That's
why I said, I told you, as soon as I saw her shoulders when she was standing, I'm like, that girl's got tall girl posture.
Yeah.
There's so much going on with Tiffany and Claire, and I don't know. I really hope that they start digging in on that, because the two of them are setting up some nice positions. So we'll see. Now with Frenchie out of the way, we might get to see them step forward a little bit. He's not taking all of the limelight with his loud and crazy, here's the plan, not a plan, this is a planning.
The scramble.
On the feeds, is there somebody who's kind of a mastermind that we're not seeing in the edit yet?
Oh, definitely Tiffany. I would honestly say Tiffany.
And she gets no screen time in the edit.
Because she knows how to be quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's looking really good right now from from the live feed transcripts and stuff that I've read. She seems to know what's going on. She seems to keep everything very even keel. She knows when somebody needs a hug. Yep. Right. She knows she knows who to talk to when to go. Like when she went up to Kai's room and told him how proud she was of him and
oh my gosh. And can we talk about like the episode, like Wednesday episode, when they had her and Azah like in the room pretending to be crying about being homesick? Oh my God.
Yes.
I love when she's like, I don't care. I'm here to play the game. I'll be fine.
So she's like, oh, there. Meanwhile, she's whispering in her ear, like, okay, so we have to do it. Like that's how they're doing their planning right in broad daylight. That's
great. And it's great because the second somebody walks in, they don't have to do the, oh, hey, and then like that awkward thing we were talking about last week. Like, how do you change the subject without them getting too paranoid? They're just like, oh, I don't want anything to do with this emotional moment. And they just see themselves out. It's perfect.
Right. And then we saw when Brittany was really, really crying when she got put on the block, there she was hugging her while she was crying too. So no one's gonna.
And then what happens? Frenchie walks up and says, can you talk? And she's like, I've got a crying girl in my arms.
It's like the perfect like
appropriate.
But hey, listen, he was gonna save her from the block if he won the veto.
Vignesh asked a question here in the chat. He asked if Frenchie will go down as one of the worst strategic players of all time. I will say yes, unequivocally yes. Although I think he'll be back. I think they'll put him back on another season.
I
know he's kind of. Well, last year we were like Devin. No,
the worst. I think as a player he won't go down because he didn't really get to play very much. He really didn't. I mean,
but we're gonna hear things like, how we get things like, oh, somebody's pulled, someone's pulled a Dan Giesling, or like, like we've got a comp beast like Janelle. No. It's going to be pulling a Frenchie.
Okay.
The first week, he had arguably the best start in the game that I've seen in years. And he didn't just set it on fire. He took a flamethrower to it, set off a nuclear bomb, and then danced a dance. I mean, it was awful. It was like hard to watch.
Yeah. He felt real fast. Because he had the verbal diarrhea. He could not stop making alliances and telling people things. Like, nothing in his brain told him to pump the brakes when he was trying to form an all-girls alliance. Nothing in his brain went,
too much enthusiasm, a little bit of misdirection. I'm sure that in his real life, without cameras, that there are, I mean, obviously not nearly as much as he had in this last week or so, but I'm sure that there's moments that his wife or his sister or his kids are like, hey, calm down, slow down, stop.
He clearly is a person who has a lot of energy. Yes. And when people are very energetic, I live in a household full of them, and then you get nervous, you do this nervous talk thing, right? Where you just have to fill up every single second with every single, because, oh my gosh, you're so anxious. Right. And I think that's what he did.
Well, he had the complete inability to let the game come to him. As the HOH, all you have to do is sit in the room and eat the candy or whatever they give you and just wait. And people will come and they'll tell you stuff and they will give you stuff and they will cut deals.
They want to come to the HOH. They want to know what the HOH is thinking.
Right.
They want to get a feel if they're safe or not. If he could have literally just lived up there. I mean, there has been so many players that in their first HOH, or if it was 7 weeks in on HOH, they just sit up there and don't have to do anything except for sit there and lay around, and the game will play itself. So, I mean, first weekend, that's how it should have gone.
Right, and the greats do that. They just lay there. You know, they've got their ride and die comes in all the time. And, you know,
that's like a tried and true formula. You have to have that one person in the house that you know without a doubt is feeding you correct information. Right. And that they have the same goal as you do, and no one else is going to persuade them otherwise. If you have that one person you feel really, really good about, you could pretty much direct the game as long as you can pull a comp when you need to. But if you are the person that walks around and tells everybody how it's going to be, you saw Memphis try it last year. The second you start to try to tell people how it's going to be, especially more than one person, your game's toast. That's it. It's done.
Okay, so now in complete 180 contrast, we have Kylan. What'd you think of his HOH?
I thought it was pretty good, but there was a few things where it's like that whole, I don't have to tell you what I'm thinking.
Oh, like, I love that though.
But it's going to bite him in the butt. I think it's going to bite him in the butt because maybe not because it's him. Maybe he could slide by because so many people do like him. Yeah. But I think if anyone in that house besides him said, I don't have to tell you what I think because I'm HOH, he's on the block next week, period. But that's
you know what? But here's the thing. I see what you're saying. And I could agree with that if he hadn't done exactly what the house wanted.
Right.
So it's like, I don't have to tell you. Like, you know what? I did what I took everyone's information. You guys were all in consensus. This is what I did. I didn't have to tell you because clearly I was going along with you.
And truly, I feel like he played that hand the best way that he possibly could when he chose Brittany. The reason he gave for Brittany being up there wasn't 100%. A single insult in it. It made so much sense. It was so logical. You know?
But I still resented him for it because I really liked him.
You put him up there because of loyalty?
No, I felt like you know, he was a down to earth guy. He works for social causes. You know, this is a guy I'd want to be friends with.
Right.
And then he puts Brittany, who has done nothing to anybody, on the block, even as a player. It felt cruel.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
This is really, really mean, maybe, but truthfully, all of the rapping in the rapping segment and the rapping, I would have put Brittany's name down. I'd have been like, that's it.
Well, okay, but that happened after, at least on the edit.
Nope. Bye. Can't do it. Because it was really uncomfortable for me. I mean, she was having fun. I mean, she can do whatever she wants. Yeah. She's there and I'm here. But like, I had no problem with Brittany going up. I thought he gave her the best. I mean, her going up made more sense to me than anyone else in that house. She's part of Frenchie's original alliance.
Derek was arguably more loyal to Frenchie than if Derek would have won the veto, Derek would have taken Frenchie down. The only one in the house who would have done it.
Right. But I don't think that is shown as much. I think it did the second half of the HOH. I think you started seeing it because he was just hanging out with them so much. But I think here's the thing. Derek kind of is like a little bit snippy about everyone in the house, and he's got, some little snarky things to say here and there. But Brittany is like, my team this, my team that. So, I mean, she's a competitive person. She's got that whole team spirit thing. Like it's really a part of her. I just think it made perfect sense for her to be up there because he knew no one was going to vote for Brittany. Right. He knew nobody was going to do it.
Correct.
Vignesh in the chat thinks she's in trouble next week.
You could have even but even if you would have put Big D on the block, there's a couple people that maybe they wouldn't want him up there. But here's another important thing is that their real serious alliance includes Big D. So he's not going to put him up. She was the right target. She got pretty mad about it and hurt feelings, but
it was not personal at all.
0%.
It was literally when it was the best reason I thought. He hasn't done anything wrong, but if you know for sure, based on what people have told you, that she has no chance of going home.
Well, but we've all seen it. If Frenchie wins the veto and somebody else gets up, she had every chance of going home. Pawns go home all the time.
Yeah, but then at least it was still from Frenchie's team and not his. And not from a team that he was working with. So there's that.
So maybe then you put.
Who was his backup? Would he have put Brent up? Do you think?
That was one that kind of got tossed around, but I don't think that he really was worried about a backup. I really think that he was like, I'll deal with it when it comes. I am not even going to stress out about it because right now this is what I want, and if that happens, we'll deal with it as it happens. And I think that's part of the reason why he can go throughout this house and make friends in every corner because he doesn't get hung up on little stuff. So, if he can just kind of let it go and ride with whatever waves come in, he'll be okay. But when he did that whole, I don't have to tell you what I'm thinking, I was like, I think most of the house guests will let it slide, but there might be one or two that are like, hey, remember when he did this and everybody likes him, but now we have to fake a reason to hate this guy because I want to put him on the block and not feel bad about it. This is what they'll use.
I don't know. From what the edit he's getting, he just seems like the super sweetest, nicest person.
He is. He's pretty decent.
How would you find something not, you know what I mean?
Now, do you think there's a budding romance with him and Sarah? Is it Sarah?
Sarah Beth?
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, they, talking about her dad dying, and that was, and maybe that was just the edit, right?
Yeah, and I think that there ended up just going to be like, I think what we have with the two of them is that you've got two people in that house that are just genuinely kindness matters.
Yeah.
Kindness matters, people. Do the right thing, people. And I think they just naturally gravitate towards each other as going, I can trust you because at the end of the day, I know that even if you think you have to put me up or somebody else thinks they have to put me up, I feel like you'll come to me and we can talk about it. Yeah. But now we've got the Alyssa and Christian thing again, which they didn't really show much of. I can't imagine that they're not going to get that edit next week because, it's the showmance. But they're spending a lot of time together and they're realizing like, hey, this is good that people don't know, what we got going on. Right. But on the flip side of that, we have Brent. And it'll be interesting to see how this week goes along with like this wild card because I would be really, really surprised, I think, if Xavier didn't throw Brent up on the block, but this wild card situation could really mess up a lot of stuff. So,
well, it depends if Xavier is at all concerned about an all female alliance.
Not at all. He's totally not.
But I'm saying you got the first three walking out being dudes.
Right. Yeah. But Brent is like, Brent is super worried about it. He talks about it constantly.
I wouldn't be worried about it because 100% of all female alliances fail.
Hey, that has been the running sad truth of Big Brother. But
not just Big Brother. It's true on Survivor. It's true.
There was one season in Survivor.
That to give away his immunity.
Yep.
The ice creams guy, Eric, the ice cream scooper guy. Come on.
I feel that if this wild card thing doesn't mess it up, I think Brent's going to have a really stressful week. I mean, you guys, there's a little bit of tension happening between him and Azah, and she really didn't do anything, but he's taking, like she said, words to him, not like rudely, not with a tone, just words. And he's going around being like, she blew up at me. And I mean,
ooh.
Yeah, so I'm thinking our drama's going to kind of skirt over.
Well, then that might be
why
I'm starting to be worried about a all-girls alliance.
Yeah.
He thinks she's in it, right?
Yeah, I think he's stressing. I think the only girls that he's not afraid of are the ones that are snuggling up on the hammock.
Well, he had
next to him or Christian.
He had things to say about Hannah that,
But Hannah's on it too. Hannah's a smart cookie. She sees what's going on in the house. She's not a dum-dum.
So Brent is you think so not self-aware that he's worried about gameplay down the road and doesn't realize he's in the hot seat now?
Yeah, I do. And with the whole Slaughterhouse Alliance for a few days there, Brent was really walking around and trying to direct people in Slaughterhouse like he was the new leader because Frenchie had fallen, and he wasn't grasping the thing that most of everybody was kind of like, yeah, this is done, right? Yeah, this is totally done.
Yeah, this really never happened.
Yeah, we won't even talk about this anymore. So yeah, we'll see how that goes around. And I don't know. I was kind of laughing though tonight during the HOH competition. If you noticed a couple people when at the very beginning, when they were Hannah's one of them, and Derek X, when she was all flip your board, you're out. They're both because they were not going for HOH. There was a few of them that are nope. Like Tiffany, no hurry to get HOH right now.
And that's pretty cool that I don't know. When the people that are out, can they see the front?
No, because I think they were over on the side, so they can't see who's doing what.
I really like the idea that they're letting us know, I didn't want it, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, these guys are super fun because they go to the cameras on the live feeds and they go, okay, this is what I'm thinking about this, and I got to go and talk to this person. Let me see if I can make it happen. They're trying to, trying to show some interaction, and it's just refreshing to see people, I don't know, playing a game.
Right.
I like so far that it's all new people. It's not people we've seen before, and I hope they don't blow it by, throwing a twist where they bring somebody back or,
Yeah, I cannot see that I don't think that they would bring, if you look at the allotted week, so it started, a week later than it normally does, because it usually starts the 21st, the 25th or something. Same week as my son's birthday, but it went
way earlier.
Yeah, the end of June.
Yeah,
right.
And so we've already lost a few weeks there, so that doesn't give us extra time to have to bring someone else in, because we'll have the double eviction, and on the double eviction we'll drop 2, and they might even do a triple eviction, depending on the time frame.
Honestly, the battle back is always kind of...
Yeah, it's never that great.
It always ends up being somebody you don't want back in.
And the hard thing is we're still dealing with the rules of COVID. So having a battle back is a huge, that's a lot of trouble to go through to bring somebody else back in.
You'd have to have at least 4 weeks, right? Because you'd want to have probably 4 players at minimum.
And you got to sequester them somewhere.
Yeah, person. That means you have to put them up. You have to entertain them.
They've got to do COVID tests consistently. Could you imagine if COVID slipped by and came in on the rest of the cast that was there?
Send them home. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. And like Julie, every time like the guest that gets evicted comes out, she's like, air hug, stay back. She's like got a crucifix out and is lighting it, like, fight the vampires. I laugh so hard. She's like, ew.
Like they're gonna run out and run over and attack her or something because they just have to hug
Well,
her.
I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, I don't get this. Like, here we go. Like, these guys are getting tested every Tuesday. They're getting tested. So, I mean, I don't know, unless she's going around licking windows, maybe she's afraid she'll infect them.
There's a Moonves joke here somewhere about her husband. I'm not going to make it, but I'm just saying. I think that's her real exposure.
Right.
And you know good and well that before the live show starts, they're giving them production notes or something. They remind them like,
right,
expect it out when you go out. Make sure you go. Don't
touch Julie.
Or she has to say it again. Come on.
I like to think that, like 30 years down the road, there's going to be like a Lifetime movie that's about like the life and times of Julie Chen, and then it's going to we're going to find out that it's like it wasn't COVID, like she finally got to be her real her and be like, don't touch me, don't touch me. These are the things I hope for.
Oh man.
Poor Julie. She's I could be on that show for like half a second and she'd be like, get her out.
I don't think she's ever been very necessary. Like, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I love being annoyed by her. I don't actually hate her. I love being annoyed by her.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a comfortable annoyance.
Yeah.
We're like Jeff on Survivor now. To me, is just annoying. It's like, can you write a new line? It's been like 22 years, for God's sakes.
I don't understand how. I don't understand how when they're around, their campfire and he starts digging up stories, so they all start yelling at each other. Like, we never get to hear him go, would you shut the hell up? Like, why are you telling me my game?
Nothing for you.
Well, luckily Julie doesn't get to, get too involved there. But I mean, sometimes I think that when a guest comes out, like tonight when she was interviewing Frenchie and she's like, now you did this and this and this, and do you think you played too hard here? And I mean, I would just love somebody to be like, shut up.
Did you guys watch the extended interview with Frenchie, either one of you, last week?
No, I didn't. I'm done.
Sorry, with Travis.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I did watch the Travis. Yeah,
they put it out on Instagram, so
Oh, okay, I didn't. Was it anything interesting?
Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of talking some of the stuff about Frenchie and some of the stuff in the house. I mean, it kind of made me go, well, where was this? And that honestly is a common thing. Like, where was this person in the house? Because that would have been fun. But I couldn't tell you how many people I have, alumni on this show that while they were on the show, I was like, ugh, I'm not a fan. I'm not. And I love them now. Like following them on Twitter and Instagram. It's like, they're the funnest, most hilarious people. Yeah. So, I mean, just because someone's your favorite house guest does not mean they're going to be the most entertaining people outside.
So much of that is the edit they get to, though.
Exactly.
I mean, CBS sets up people to be the villain, and they take the 4 worst things they say, and that's the only dime they get.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or, they have, somebody who, as they've had in a few past seasons, that looks like the boy next door or the girl next door, and they really want to give them a great edit and they want them to be the hero of the story. And meanwhile, if you're not watching the feeds, you don't realize the copious amount of racist things they're saying. And,
or perhaps denial, Columbine, not Columbine, Newtown
like
denial,
Sandy Hook,
right?
Yeah, Sandy Hook denying, exactly. So they don't want to throw. I mean, and I get it from an editor standpoint, production standpoint. This isn't a show that's like on a major movie channel or anything like that. They've got to find some very comfortable flow with the story that keeps people interested, but stays within. Like I said, your kid's gonna be in the room when you're watching it. For the most part. So. Yep. They're not going to show a lot of things. It's probably for the best, but
The first week we picked Final Twos, and I believe we had the first member of the Final Twos that we picked to go home this week. Who was it who picked Frenchie? I can't recall.
I'm not sure.
redo.
I'm all in. I'm all in on Xavier. So I'm like that. That's looking smarter and smarter every minute.
He's pretty smart, and he's kind of under the radar. But
you look at his job. He's gifted in the ability to have a very calm, discourse with somebody and still be able to come out on top of it. He knows how to deal with people who are upset or paranoid. Yeah. If he can just sit there and, iron his paper towels, he'll be fine. What was that, by the way, when he was ironing that paper towel?
Very odd.
Yeah, I didn't see that on the feed, so I
saw a picture of it, like a screen grab. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Vigna says that if Derek X gets chosen for the veto wild card competition, he should definitely throw it. He's shown himself to be a huge challenge too early. Yeah, that's a really, really interesting observation. I would agree with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if one side of the house, say like a Whitney, Brent, Alyssa, Christian side of the house, if they have to pick somebody off and they don't want to stir the pot, I think they could get away with putting him up because he's clearly physically capable of winning these challenges.
On Saturday, someone put up a diagram where they showed all the existing alliances. Did you see that diagram? Yes. Every single person was in multiple alliances. Yep. There was one person in the house that was not in a single alliance, Derek X.
Yep.
So this is Saturday, and I'm starting to think, like, if I'm Derek, am I not starting to get worried that I'm not in an alliance with anyone?
It depends. Okay.
I think he's in the top 10% of the smart people in the house.
Yeah, but I also here's the thing. I think he's in the top 10 for general intelligence, and he has capability of winning competitions. But I think he is a little bit oblivious to the fact that there's all these different alliances, and he's not a part of them. Because until he starts hearing someone say, yeah, I'm in alliance with so-and-so, it's not going to occur to him. Someone who doesn't, wasn't a watcher of the show, someone who won veto and didn't know what to do with his veto necklace is not going to know, like, oh, man, there's 6 alliances. I thought there was just the one big alliance, and then it got blown up. So,
but at the same time, he's not in any alliances, so he's made no promises that then he
is a free agent. But the thing is, they haven't made a name alliance, but he is sort of like number uno to Kyland. So,
okay. Well, they started showing that this week, and like I said, the diagram I saw was just through Saturday. So good for him. And
do you remember the days in these shows where there were alliances, but they didn't have names?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, how confusing was that?
But I like when they used to go in the diary room and talk about their alliances. That was cool.
Yes.
Or giggle about them.
And can we also bring up, okay, this is something that I know that I'm not the only one who've noticed it. I've seen a little bit of chatter about it on Twitter. I just want to see if it's something that runs past you guys or annoys you guys. If you look at the diary room interviews that we're getting, like our little diary room blips, compared to the first week to this week, do they not seem like a little extra cheesy and lined out this week than they did the first week? It's a little bit irritating for me because the cool thing was the first week they talked about, they'd constantly get feed shut off because they're not supposed to talk about production, but they were talking about how production would try to oh, what if you say this? And they're like, no, that's embarrassing.
But now they're just like, whatever.
Now they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, because I was really liking that.
They have nothing to say. They're like, please help me. What am I going to say?
Frenchie was all over it from the word go as part of his Big Brother experience, but the rest of them were like, really? That seems like something I wouldn't say. But there was this whole, a half-hour conversation that was so funny. And it was like, they were all talking about, the opening, the opening credits or whatever, like their little like movements and stuff that they had to do. And Claire was like reenacting her whole sitting. And it was so funny because she's like, she's like, finger guns. Like, I don't know what to do.
I don't do those things.
I don't do these things.
She was a late ad too. So they had to take, because she replaced the bald gal who got COVID.
Yes.
So imagine
who went home and then tested negative for
no
COVID.
Shit. I didn't know that. Oh,
poor girl. Don't you feel so bad for her too? I'm like,
yeah.
But she was on Twitter and she was handling it so like.
She'll have her back, I bet.
Well, I think so too, because she was so respectful about like, it happens. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah. This was not the season I was supposed to be on. This just makes me feel like I wasn't going to win, So she was cool about it. But, and I mean, for me, I'm glad because I think Claire's going to be just a way more interesting person to watch. But
I like how she's hanging back. She's hanging back, and I feel like Derek's hanging back a little bit, and they're kind of let some stuff shake out. I mean, let's
just
face it.
Kind of watching.
The Cookout Alliance is bound to explode at some point.
Well,
right?
I mean, we got almost 2 weeks in. They'll be almost half the house. So they're going to have to show their cards sooner than later.
Right.
Once that happens, that's when these cracks in larger alliances happen, So I'm hoping that they can hang into that point because I'm so down for this alliance. And then
Claire would be a smart put up right now. Claire would be a super smart put up.
Oh, for sure. But I don't think that any of them are really too concerned about like Tiffany and Claire they're really close. Yeah, they're buddy. They're always together. Like, like comparing notes.
Xavier's not putting Tiffany up.
No way.
But he'd put Derek up.
I think this is just my guess that Xavier, this is my guess that he will put up Brent
and Whitney.
Right,
because that's the easy play.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if you wanted to go after threats,
but if he
make you enemies.
If he listens to Tiffany, though, he may not put up Whitney. He might go for Alyssa. Because remember, Whitney and Tiffany are in that mom alliance.
Yeah, but does he know that?
No, but Tiffany can convince him to not put. That girl can convince anybody to do anything. I swear. I know. She'll be like, no, listen. This
so
is
now
what
we know who
you
your
replacement like,
is. That your replacement final two?
Yeah.
Is it Tiffany? Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's. I will be so upset if she's not in the final. I want her in the final two. Like I have not wanted a single player to be in the final two this bad since like Ian's first season.
When was the last time somebody her age or older went to the final two? I mean, that's the old people go home.
Yeah, they totally do, but not anymore thanks to Frenchie because he broke that curse and he changed everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Some of the stuff that people might not have seen that he was saying, like it was really showing his break with reality that he was, he invoked like Dan's name a lot as if it was like, I don't know, like that's what he was emulating his game off of. He said that he was going to win America's Player if that was a thing that was going to be this year. He was definitely winning that because America loves his game. We love his game. And CBS does not want him to go home because the ratings will go down once he's evicted.
Bless his heart. Bless his sweetheart.
Over his arguments to other people for why, I
love the weird illusion that everyone is like, I'm in the group that always gets voted off first. Every single one of them are living in this, whatever they are made up of. Them specifically, their types, but because he's it's the old guy who gets voted off first. But all week before this, he was saying it's always a person of color or female that gets voted off first. And then Travis is like, it's the muscle guy with abs that always goes first. That's a lot of things always going first. It can only be one.
Well, my son told me about the surfer curse. I didn't know about the surfer curse.
I don't even think there's a surfer curse.
He said there's 3 surfers that have gone home first in the game.
Wait. Really? Wasn't Tyler a surfer?
Yeah, like,
And like he didn't go, so.
Didn't
He
like
says it's
Tyler
a
do this
thing.
all the time?
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time, like constantly, every time the camera, there's Tyler. That's all he did ever.
Oh, that's what I was going to say about her having Claire coming so late. They have the whole beginning section all done, and everybody's already done something. What if you're the last person? You can't do what any of the other people did. That's why she gets
it's weird, right? It's super weird. Like, what is she gonna do? Like, Hannah did the TikTok dance. I guess she's done that dance for TikTok. Like, that's her actual TikTok dance. I don't know.
Like, she is
I don't know things about the TikTok dances.
I don't have TikTok on my phone.
I only see funny dog and cat videos. That's what TikTok is for me.
I know that for a fact that my kids, my daughter especially, is the best TikTok dancer. Because
you're so lucky to know the best one.
I know, right? Because I don't watch the TikTok, but she has to always come and show me her new TikTok dance, and it's always like it has to be the best one, right?
There's something epic
perfect, right? How do I know? Anyway.
Oh, and by the way, there was like an update on that whole Kings and Queens alliance coming together because they hadn't settled on a name. It looks like they're going to go with the name Royal Flush.
Good name.
Yeah, that's fun.
Well, because they were pulling Derek in, and he's an ace, right?
Yeah, everyone's got. I don't have it written out, but everyone's got like their card face.
And one ace, which is Derek. Yep. That's why they said Royal Flush. Yeah.
So fun. Who's the 10?
They all think they're the 10.
They do.
They do. But I mean, all in all, this whole week has been, exactly what we thought it was going to be, and not like in this like boring, predictable way. I mean, this was really the only way for the cards to logically fall, I think. But
because because you know what, if it hadn't, because there's been so many times when there's been a setup like this of somebody that the entire house wants them to go, and then something happens, and then that person ends up like they win the veto and they pull themselves off, and someone else. Well, that's exactly what happened with Travis last week, right? And so, and then what would we have done? We would have said like, "Oh, production."
Yeah, but after the veto, there was no chance.
Right.
There was no. I mean, I sent you guys the gift this morning.
And then he started doing the thing in the house where he started telling people, "Oh, I'm a dad. I miss my kids. I want to see my kids."
Yeah, I mean, like for a hot minute,
they never miss their kids till they're going home.
Yeah,
right now, all of a sudden. Now,
I don't know, maybe 2 days where he was talking about how, like, I'm just, you know what, like, I'm just going to self-evict because I don't want to campaign against Brittany. And it's like, but then we see he clearly was campaigning. I mean,
I know what it is.
Go ahead.
He spent his HOH week doing everything an HOH has ever done in the history of Big Brother. And then he spent his nomination week doing everything a player's ever done when they're on the block. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, he had an evil genius plan. It just fell apart. That's all,
Well, and what was up with him telling Julie that he didn't roll the dice because he wanted to see the photos of his kids?
Right.
That was so much crap.
Right.
He just didn't want to risk losing being HOH.
I wasn't gonna risk the HOH because I miss my kids.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I appreciate that. I mean, I could be in I know I could be in, they're in sequester for what, like 2.5 weeks before they get into the house. So they're already 2 weeks with no contact. And then they get in the house, and sure, of course they want to see their pictures and see their family. But like, dude, there is nothing wrong with saying, I wasn't going to risk that. I got HOH the first night. There was no way I was going to risk it.
Right.
Because it's not like he rolled the dice, got exactly what he was supposed to, and then was given the choice.
Yeah.
He could have said, yeah. That's one of the most irritating things for me on shows where, like, where they say, oh, what would you have picked? It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter, because what I'm telling you I'm picking right now is not necessarily what I would have picked 10 seconds ago before I made this choice. Pet peeve. It's a pet peeve. That's what I mean. 5 seconds and be like, get her out of her. She cannot deal with Julie. Like,
do you think that before they get in the house, before the show started, I mean, they have to be quarantined because they're keeping them whatever. Do you think they can't talk to their family at that point already?
Yes.
I do.
Yeah. They cannot talk to, they don't know each other. They can't talk to anybody on the phone.
Like, you talk to your family, your wife or husband or kids.
Yep. Nobody.
You literally have nothing you can tell them. Sit in the hotel room.
It's like jury duty, man. They won't, because they're like, we can't have any outside influence happening. If there's a leak on who's going,
there's a leak on who's playing, and that stuff leaks out to Twitter.
Okay.
See, and this is where you get all these newbies. This is where they have their first,
talk to my family.
These newbies, this is where they have their first actual exposure to any previous seasons. They may have never watched a second of it on TV, but do you know what production makes available for them to watch on DVD or digital format? Every season of Big Brother. So this is what they watch.
I would be interested just to see, after the fact, which players watch the most Big Brother and Sequester. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That'd be kind of an interesting little stat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and see how their gameplay, you know what, honestly,
it was Frenchie. He watched the most.
He's Red Bull, and he was slamming those teeth drinking Red Bull.
Need more Red Bull.
I wonder, I almost wonder if it isn't Ian. I could see Ian rewatching every season while in Sequester.
Yeah.
And
he's very analytical, so, but they can watch those. That's why it was so funny last year with Devin. We're like, dude, literally every season was at your fingertips. You could have watched one episode to have an idea of what was going on.
So, and if you're in Sequester already, you have nothing to do. You're about to be on national TV and partially live. Everything you do is going to be taped for 3 months.
Yep.
Do you seriously not want to watch not even one episode? You're not.
That's what I mean. It would be weird not to, right? I mean, because you could sit there, you can watch them, you can figure out what moves. I mean, what's the kind of person that everybody seems to get along with? What personality does everyone seem to get along with? I got to try my best to be that, or any.
You'd get a million things that would make your head go, oh, and it would start. Right. It would be so helpful. What sort of? I can't understand the sort of brain that has such a low amount of curiosity. They don't even want to know where they're going.
I don't get it either. So that's what I mean. They've come in here, they might have got a chance to watch a couple episodes or something, but the cool thing is even if they're a little bit behind and they're not really sure what to do or what's coming up next. Well, first of all, they're all experts at this point, thanks to Frenchie, the great wizard of Big Brother. But they do at least show some genuine curiosity on how to play the game and how to win the game. That's a big sum of money. They're not there for Instagram fans. Well, one or two of them might be, but
he's not. He said many times that's not why he was there.
Nope, not why he's playing. He's not playing, and his obsession with the meatheads. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Everything was meatheads.
He was bullied or something.
For real. He totally was.
Yes, either.
And you know what? Listen, he's obnoxious. It was a lot to handle, but you see those moments where you're like, I know exactly why production picked him, because when he had to leave, you could tell he was trying not to cry.
Oh yeah.
You could see that he was like, this is the end of my journey and I'm so sad about it. You could feel that for him. So as much as you can laugh, I feel bad for what he's about to walk into when he steps out. I mean, they've got a public relation team there so that he always will get the lowdown. But
we need to see the edit too, because for 100% he did not think that he was coming across that way to people.
Oh, I really don't think so either. Yeah, I just don't think he was very self-aware.
I think if he would have just pumped them, we all liked him. The first episode, we all liked him.
Yep.
And that's what I heard from other people that I know that watched the show. And but he if he could have pumped the brakes near the end, just pump the brakes just a little bit, just for I think he would be okay. But it just was the constant nonstop of the week that the people in the house just could not take it.
And I will give Frenchie this. He got voted out, hands down, the easiest decisions that they'll probably have all season. However, I think every single one of them, would consider him a friend.
Oh yeah, they seem to all like him. It was just
right.
If you've ever been stuck in a small space with somebody who's constantly on the move, can't sit down, can't pacing and walking and
right. Paranoid says all sorts of things like, a butt crack away from a lightning bug or something. I don't know. Like some of the weird, man, he had like a list of dang gummins and I don't know. I was over it. I was ready for that to be done. But I hate it because I know like with his like little cheesy blurbs that were happening in the diary room, they've eased him out and they're bringing Brittany in full effect to take the place of that. And I can't do it. I can't do it.
Well, we didn't see from week 1, but week 1, you said people were already getting annoyed with her. She was a little too much. And we didn't see that at all. She's her being put up for tonight.
I think she's kind of, there's a few people that are like, nobody is like, Brittany, but you can kind of see people sometimes, like certain people, when she walks past, they're like, like there's just a little bit of tightening in the shoulders and they dig into their bowl of cereal a little bit more, or a lot of like, yeah, as they're walking away. Yeah, for sure. They're just trying to get out.
It's 24/7 and you can't hide from them 24/7.
Right.
So at some point in the day, you're going to have to be cordial. So, you gotta work.
Yeah, no one's being, I don't think anyone's like, ugh, gross. But
like,
they're
not
just
before my coffee. Don't come in here rapping about coffee because listen, we're gonna have a problem.
Exactly. That's my thing with her is like, you can tell that she is 100% all about whatever she's all about.
Yeah.
And I can really appreciate a person who has enthusiasm for anything and everything she decides to do. But I also get exhausted by those people.
Yeah. Well, no, she would be exhausting. She would be really lots of fun if you saw her sporadically and you're friends with her.
Yes, exactly.
But like to live with her and
yeah, and like also I'm like one of those people like I can't go and watch my friends in plays. Like if they're in plays, I can't do it. I think it's super cool that they're doing it. Yeah. And I'm like, God, I wish I could do that, but I can't get past that I know who that person is and they're not the person they're pretending to be. And it's awkward and weird for me. I'm like, I'm kind of uncomfortable. And so seeing somebody who can just like jump into that, like, yeah, cheesy, like that's great. But I'm really uncomfortable. It's me. It's not you. It's me. Like I can't. and like wrapping your plea to your house guest, that is like on the top of it goes like this. It's number 2 on the list. The number 1 on the list would be pleading for your big brother life as William Shatner. And then second, wrapping it. That's it. Friendship done. Alliance broken. Get out. I have rules. I have standards.
Well, wait, is it William Shatner spoken word poetry?
The only time it's acceptable is if it is partnered with Henry Rollins, and then it's okay.
I would agree with you on that. Anybody think if we think Brant and Tiffany will be the easy ones up and they stay up, we think we'll go home?
Brant.
For sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
Easy vote, angers nobody.
He's going to tell everybody, but they're getting rid of all the guys.
Yeah, and he's going to self-destruct. It's obvious.
Yeah, he's going to get ruffled up and get mad, and then he's going to, talk some smack, and it's going to come back around. And
he's more insecure about the women, for sure.
He really is, which leads me to believe that he's got to have, like, I don't know for sure what his family is, but to me, he seems like somebody that has, like, 7 sisters.
He's got like
like he's the only boy.
And his mom's the mom from Everybody Loves Raymond. Like that's him.
Right. Like that. I mean, that's just what he exudes to me between like how he carries himself, his personality, and then on top of like his like insatiable fear of a women's alliance forming behind his back. I think that
they're all out to get him. All out to get him.
I think he's a little bit afraid of that for certain. Well, maybe and I'm a little bit bummed out that we don't have JP around tonight so we can grade Hannah on her, on her impressions.
His people got all the accolades this week. We had a whole lesson in everything.
That's what happens. Snooze, you lose.
So JP, Hannah thinks your accent's hot. So just there you go. There you go, JP. All right, guys, we got to wrap this up. What do you guys think about doing a half hour earlier? So we're just not cooling off.
It works for me. Just let me know what we're.
I think so. Otherwise, I have so many things.
If the consensus is the half hour, I'll do it. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So then next week we'll be here same time talking about next week. Whoever is going to be sent home, we'll have to see. And maybe JP will be back. Maybe he won't. Maybe it'll just be the cool kids. I mean,
maybe he's self-evicted, and that's that.
We'll see. Anyway, we'll be back. Thanks for joining us in the chat. We had quite a few tonight. Vignesh was a big poster, and Ro was here to visit.
Hi, Ro.
My sister Kelly popped in for a hot minute, and Rachel was here. We had to talk to her actually in person last week. That was kind of cool.
Hey, Rach. I don't know if she likes being called Rach. We'll just stick to Rachel for now.
Yeah. So hit subscribe. We'll be back next week, and that's it for this week of Big Brother.
Bye.
So long.
Bye.